welcome back. Now it's going to be 5 years since the pandemic where our lives were locked down. And from work to entertainment, we all were glued to our computer screens, televisions and mobile phones. A digital life was the only way forward for all of us. But since then, there has been an advent of a silent epidemic in the form of online addiction, which has particularly become a major headache for parents around the world. And finally, government and policymakers are waking up to this issue. In a bold move to combat a growing sleep crisis, Sweden's Public Health Agency has now issued new guidelines urging parents to keep toddlers away from the screens entirely. For children under 2, the recommendation is clear: no digital media or television. For those aged 2 to 5 years of age, a screen time should be capped at just 1 hour a day, while kids aged 6 to 12 should limit their viewing to a maximum of 2 hours. Screen time of teenagers aged 13 to 18 should be limited to a maximum of 3 hours per day. This issue resonates globally, including in India, where the rise of digital devices has led to similar concerns. A recent study found that 80% of Indian children under the age of 5 are exposed to screens, with many exceeding recommended limits. Now, this is a story that affects all of us, you and me. And let me take across this question to our esteemed panel of guests who are joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. Dr. Bhavna Barmi, who is a child and clinical psychologist. Dr. Poonam Chhillar Vij, Assistant Professor, Pediatrics, Sharda Medical College. Dr. R. Suma Yadav, Principal and Chairperson, the Oak Ridge International School. Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for taking our time and joining us over here at Mirror. Now, we are talking about this particular diktat or order from the Swedish government's end, but this holds true for all of us. My question would go across to our esteemed panel of guests, especially Dr. Bhavna Barmi, who's a child and clinical psychologist. Again, there have been several such researches and studies that increasingly tell us how screen viewing impacts the minds of children. The young minds get impacted by it. But there is so much of a dependency on the screen. Where does one draw the line?
Completely in sync with you. The screen has actually become a epidemic, if nothing less. I think screens emit this blue light which suppresses melatonin production, which is actually a hormone, very critical for our sleep. So this, first of all, delays the sleep concept and disrupts the entire circadian rhythm itself, making it harder, especially for children under the ages of 12, before they've reached their puberty, to fall asleep naturally. And also, specifically, I'd like to say that when we use screen before bedtime, children, particularly in that hour or two, often experience shorter sleep durations and lower quality of sleep. And this can lead to not only sleep deprivations, but it affects the mood, leading them to a lot of mood instability. And one of the moods that has been very highly researched is the anger and irritability quotient in the children that increases. It affects their attention, concentration, and even learning the next day when they are ready for their routine activities. And there is something which we call as delayed sleep phase syndrome, which says that chronic screen exposure, especially late at night, lead to delayed sleep phase syndrome, where children's sleep schedules shift later, making it harder for them to wake up on time for their school, and thereby it has a direct impact on their mental health. And we were just talking about it. I said anger, irritability was
Ms. Barmi, somewhere all of us know about these side effects to screen time. But Dr. Vij, if I would come to you, where does one take this forward from? Because do you think there is a need for the government to intervene and make certain rules and orders, just like the Swedish government has done that? Do you think that it's about time we look at this more carefully rather than letting it pass?
Yes, I think so, that line should be drawn and certain regulations should be taken up. Because why? Because digital media has now become a part of, you can a curriculum or day-to-day life, even the schools, especially after the COVID times. So there is more exposure to the digital media now. With more use of the screen time, the children are at, they have easy access of the digital media. So it is having a direct impact on the development indirectly, direct or indirect, we can say, on the language development, on the behavioral development, on the socio-emotional interaction between the parents or the caregivers. So overall, it is hampering the behavior of the child. So unless we have certain regulations which can be started implemented right from the school onwards, like the children are given awareness, the parents are given awareness that what is, how much, where should we draw the line. I think it is not, it is going to make a difference in. So, and indirectly, it is having an academic impact on the
Points
academic
taken, Dr.
performance as
Vij.
well.
Let me take that question across. Let me take that question
Sorry?
across to Dr. R. Suma Yadav, also joining us. Dr. Yadav, just like Dr. Vij had mentioned, that during the lockdown, a lot of these classes were held online. What do you do then? Because the classes have to be carried out. And now that we have gone past the pandemic, we've gone past the lockdown days. But given the fact that in a few months now, the air quality in Delhi and then NCR is going to again become poor to very poor category, and the schools will be compelled to carry out online classes or the smart classes as it's termed to be. How do you then try to ensure that the screen time does not adversely impact young minds?
I do partially with agree and disagree with the same topic. The first thing, let me go back to the pandemic situation. Then it was a must for the school to intervene into the education, the part of the life of the children, and so online classes went it, and even children were really wanted to meet their teachers through whatever the platform was, and that's how it started off. But now my question is, like, even today we are unable to give a normal homework note or a circular through that conventional method. We are even still fighting. Though we tell the teachers not to do that, but still everything is going through WhatsApp or other online factors where the children are really get affected. And but at the same time, children are so much associated with this online and platform, social media platforms. They want each and every information through. It's not only children. We need to think about even parents actually supporting the system.
But Dr. Yadav, there is also some responsibility for schools then. What exercises can the school be carrying out to ensure that these online classes are not held then? If we really have to factor in the early consumption by toddlers to teenagers to young children, the responsibility also lies with the school authorities as much as the parents.
Ma'am, you're absolutely right. But again, I'm telling you, school is an association of the student, parent, and the teacher community. It is not one community else. So I request is this young generation parents should understand that the lull is what we did it for our grandmothers did for us, and we did it for them, and storytelling. These kind of things should come back again, and we need to spend a lot of time with the children and cut off the screen. Why do you need so many mobile phones at home? Why do you need so many laptops at home? So when you're giving all these, comfortable zones, children will accept. So those days we had only one TV in a house. Today we have a number of, and now we are asking not to go with the screen. So what I feel is we need to cut off all the comfortable zone. The government can intervene, like they say, one Aadhaar card, one mobile phone. We have to get it some things, and then school will definitely take a part in seeing that. Of course, there are a lot of counseling trainings going to stop all these things. That is our plan. But I think government should take an intervene part in handling these mobile phones or online platforms.
Dr. Barmi, you did hear what Dr. Yadav had to say. Now, the responsibility has to be shared between the school and parents are concerned. But, more often than ever, we see that for working parents, handing over a tablet or a screen time, etc., has almost become a new normal. What do you have to say about that, Dr. Barmi?
See, I do agree with what Dr. Yadav said, that it has to be a hand in glove responsibility. And I think we as adults should begin with that responsibility first. So I would say parental role modeling is extremely important in the form of learning, what we call as incidental learning in our child's psyche. Secondly, parents should monitor the screen time. They should appropriate limits and themselves start modeling and adhering to those limits that they set. Like you said, what is the need of so many gadgets and screens at home? So sometimes establishing family-wide tech-free zones or times like during meals, before bed, can start reinforcing these practices. I think additionally, while limiting screen time is important, it's also essential to focus on the type of content children are consuming. And thereby it is very important for the parents to be involved with the children, engaging with them to know what they are doing, what are their areas of interest, and what additionally can they give them to suit their areas of interest, whether it's academic or it's not academic. With content may have less detrimental effects compared to always using this fast, high stimulation screens that they have. So I think a lot of practical solutions need to be included in our day-to-day life. Practical steps like using apps that limit light, promoting non-screen activities at home in the evening, real-time interactions. All this is so important. And we should actually start refocusing on that, because yes, there was a phase where screen was our connect, but now there is also a phase where we can balance out the screen with the real-time connect and pleasures that we have in our life. So we should fit in a balanced approach for the developmental needs that the child is going through.
Right. Dr. Vij, before I wrap this, a very interesting conversation, last word from you as to what steps should the government take and how can the government intervene in this particular case? Because like I mentioned, the dependency over screen time is almost, it's inseparable for that matter, when to connect and when to disconnect.
Like you said, the upcoming October season, when generally most of the schools go online because of the pollution, AQI levels going high. So the kids cannot be missing schools for long. I think going to the online model again is a disadvantage. Why? Because they have easy access to the digital media. So one step the government can take for the betterment of students is they can shut the schools for that time rather than going online. If we expect, okay, 1 week, 10 days, the AQI level is going to be high, rather than resorting to the online model, we can give 10 days off to the children. Because why? If we continue with the online classes, they will have access to the digital media. They cannot formulate certain regulations that only one cell phone can be there in one house or one television. That is, I think, is not practically applicable. So I think one as a parent, as a doctor, I feel is going to the online model. I think they should shut schools during that time.
Point taken, Dr. Vij. Thank you for taking our time and joining us, our esteemed panelists. This is a very pertinent issue. It affects all of us, and we all have, as a society, think towards to protect the young mind and how screen time are adversely impacting them. Well, at the same time, realizing the fact that dependency over screen time cannot be done away with. Of course, certain measures are now the need of the hour. Dr. Bhavna Barmi, Dr. Poonam Chhillar Vij, and also Dr. Yadav. Thank you for taking our time and joining us over here at Mirror Now.